Hello everybody. Now today I'm going to be reviewing this album. It is one which has been requested quite a bit. I'm going to be looking at a Oasis album and What's the Story Morning Glory. So yeah, like few people I've been asking me to review any Oasis album. I did choose this one. It is my personal favourite off theirs so far, off what I know of their catalogue. So yeah, what I'm going to do in this video is give a bit of background information about the album, then I will show you my vinyl copy, and then go over each of the album songs in detail. So this was the band's second studio album, released on the 2nd of October in 1995. The debut album definitely maybe got all that critical praise. However, the band were eager to expand their sound. They also changed drummers as well. The old drummer was a guy called, I think he was Tony McCall, I think his name was. A guy called Alan White replaced him, and Alan White's brother Steve White was Paul Weller's drummer. He'd joined the Style Council, drummed with Paul Weller throughout his solo career. It was recorded at Rockfield Studios in Wales with producer Owen Morrison. The session started off very, very quickly, very, very productive. On average, recording a song a day. Morris used this kind of very loud, very compressed, what's known as brick walling, mastering technique, on this album, basically making everything very, very, very loud. It kind of initiated something called the loudness wars, in music, trying to make songs sound as loud as possible, so they stood out on the radio or whatnot. So yeah, Oasis production, it does tend to be very, very, very loud, very, very intense. The album was a huge commercial success when it was released. It became one of the fastest selling albums of all time. Sold about 350,000 copies in the first week of sales, which I believe is the fastest selling album ever. However, at the time, surprisingly to me, it got quite a lukewarm critical reception. Not many people were too keen on this album back then. Critics, considering the huge sales and that, a lot of critics felt it was inferior to Definitely Maybe. However, 20 years since its release, it has become a classic album, all round. It's often regarded as one of the best albums from the last 30 years. So yeah, this album does have a really fantastic legacy. So I'm now just going to show you my vinyl copy of it here, and this is a remastered version. Originals of this do go for quite a lot of money, it has to be said. So here it is. This is a kind of triple gatefold thingy, so it opens up like that, and then opens up again. So there's a lot of nice pictures of the band inside, lots of nice photos and that. The vinyls, I'll just get one of them out here, just in a plain sleeve like that. And the record itself looks like this. So unfortunately, there's no lyric sheet, and there's no lyric sheet with this or anything. However, with this vinyl copy, you do get a download card which has a lot of bonus stuff on it, all the B-sides from the album, some outtakes, demos and stuff. So yeah, that was really cool. Them chucking that in. It's about, I think about sort of £25 for this vinyl, but considering the bonus stuff you get with it, on the download code, it is really worth it. Okay, so I'm now going to go over each of the album's songs. I will score each track out of 10, and then those songs will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So it starts off with a track called Hello, which is really, really great. I do love this one. It's very sort of storming, stomping, opening song. It's maybe not quite as memorable some of the other songs later on in the album, some of the singles. However, it is still a brilliant track. Has a sort of early 70s sort of glam rock, Slade feel to it. I really, really love it as well. It just kicks the album off brilliantly, I think. You gotta roll with it, you gotta take it time, you gotta say Then the second song on the album is A Roll With It, which I also really love. This is one of their classic songs. Like, it's a very sort of positive, very uplifting, very confident song. This was a single as well. It reached number 2 on the UK charts. Didn't get to number 1 because it was engaged like in like a bit of like a chart battle, like with Blur's song and Country House, like kind of like the record companies like pitted like the two songs together, which like generated like a lot of like media interest. Like single sales like were up like something like about 40% like that week, and like gave both bands a lot of media exposure. Like whoever like in like the end Country House like outsold Roll With It like by about 50,000 copies or like something like that. So yeah, like this one like was number 2. So yeah, like it is a brilliant song. Like I think like it does divide fans. Like some people say like it is like a little bit too poppy, a little bit too lightweight. Like I like don't see it like that. Like I see it like as like a brilliant song and like one of their classics. Talking of classic songs, after that we get Wonderwall, which yeah, a brilliant song. I can't really say like too much like about this track. It is just like a perfect song, like really. Like the bands, like they are moving like in like a more sort of pop like ballad direction, like with this track. A lot more strings, like a lot more acoustic guitars than like Definitely Maybe, like which is very sort of like very raw, like raucous rock and roll record. This one here, they are trying out different arrangements, which I think like really works well. Apparently, like I've read that like Noel Gallagher like wanted to sing this song like originally. Like it was between this one and Don't Look Back in Anger. Like he wanted like a lead vocal. I am glad though that like Liam sings this one, because I think he sings it brilliantly. Like I think he does a great job like on it. Really is like a perfect song. Yes, I've maybe overheard it a little bit. Like it is like Oasis sort of signature song. Like but for like good reason, because it does have a very sort of like wide appeal. Like everyone like loves this song. Like to be honest with you, like it appeals like sort of like rock fans, but also pop people, sort of like grandmas even. Like it just has a wide appeal, this song, which is no bad thing. Like however, like the only thing like with it though, like it has got a little bit like too much like exposure like over the years, which for some people like has maybe sort of like which for some people like has maybe sort of like, I don't want to say like ruined the song, but like maybe like it's not like their favourite like anymore. So yeah, Wonderwall, for me though, I still think it is worthy of a 10. Flipping over to side 2 of the record, starts off with Don't Look Back in Anger, which is another classic, another brilliant song. Starts off like with like this like piano, which is a little bit similar to John Lennon's Watching the Wheels song. Like whoever like the song goes in a completely different direction. Like after that, like as I said before, like Noel sings this song like rather well. Like it was his first lead vocal on like a Oasis single, and also apparently like written very quickly as well backstage, like at one of their concerts. Just shows like Noel's like effortless talent like as a songwriter like at this stage and like at this point in time. Such a brilliant song, like such a brilliant like sing-along track like as well. Like has become like somewhat like of like a Manchester anthem like after like the recent like terrorist like attacks there. Like and that like very sort of like a song like of like solidarity and that. So yeah, a great song. Like I think like really worthy like of a 10 out of 10. And then we get a song called Hey Now, which I am a little bit like, I don't say like on like the fence with this track, because it is still another great song. Like almost on like any other album, this track like would be a highlight for me though. Like on here, like I just like there's something about it like what like I don't quite like. I do like the slide guitar like on it though. Like it is the only song like on the album like where like that features prominently. However, I just don't like the chorus bit, like where it loses a little bit like of like its energy. Like the verses like go along like really well, like however like the chorus like kind of like dies down a bit. Like it should be like the opposite like way around. So yeah, like an okay track there. On this vinyl version though, like after that, we get a kind of bonus track called Bonehead Spank Holiday, which I'm not huge on. Like I won't be scoring that song like in this review because it wasn't on like the original CD version, which was like the primary format like back in 1995. However, like it was on like this vinyl reissue, but like I like don't think much like off like that song personally. The next actual song on the album though is another classic, Some Might Say, which is possibly my favourite one like on the album because it isn't as like overplayed like as Wonderwall or Don't Look Back in Anger. I think it's got like a really sort of like great like guitar sound. They got it like again, it's like very quite similar like to like the stuff like on Definitely Maybe. This was one of the first songs that they recorded for the album, and it also features the original drummer Tony McCall. So like it does have it does have a very sort of similar feel like to Definitely Maybe. I think it is just like an epic song, like really like the lead single from the album, and like also their first of many #1 singles. So yeah, Some Might Say, brilliant track there, another 10. As he faced the sun, he cast no shadow. Then the mood kind of changes for the next song, Cast No Shadow, which I am also like again another great song. Like it's sort of slower, like more chilled out. Like I do like really like this song. Like the nice like backing vocals on it, like nice lyrics like on it as well. However, maybe goes on a little bit because it is like quite a slow track. Like it is like about 5 minutes long. Like it does kind of like sort of like go on a little bit for me. Still very nice though. Like a nice like arrangement, like nice vocals like on it. So yeah, Cast No Shadow would get a 9 out of 10 for me. And then possibly the most underrated track on the album is She's Electric, which I just really love. A very sort of underrated, quite a happy, like upbeat sounding song, like quite like Beatlesque, like this track, as we said. Like reminds me like a lot of like With a Little Help From My Friend, and like also like the middle bit like in this like I Want You to Know, like it's got like a similar kind of melody like to like the same section like in like While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Like I think like it rocks along well, like quite like funny like lyrics like on it, like quite light-hearted. Liam sings this track brilliantly. Like it's a song like which like I would like often like play like in isolation like off like the other tracks, like whereas with like something like Hey Now or like Hello, like even like I wouldn't tend to go to those tracks like out with the album. So yeah, She's Electric for me, another highlight, another 10 out of 10. Need a little time to wake up. Need a little time to... And now the final side of the vinyl commences with the title track Morning Glory, which is another rocking song like in classic Oasis fashion. Lyrically, it's quite interesting, like about like drug addictions, and like there's also like a few sort of 60s references, like in like the lyrics such as like like Another Sunny Afternoon and like Tomorrow Never Knows. Like there's also like reference like in it like as well. Like a cool track, like whether like I don't think it is as strong as like the other rockers like on the album, such as Some Might Say or Roll With It. This is also a US only single. Not too sure like how like well it done though like on like the singles charts. Like this album though I think was a top 10 album like in like America. So yeah, like a quite good like commercial performance there like for this album. However, like I'm not sure like about like this single like where it charted. Someday you will find me caught beneath the... And then we close with another brilliant masterpiece, a track called Champagne Supernova, which has a really sort of like nice like siege like in like from like the last one, like scattered like throughout the album, like scattered throughout the album we get a couple like of like instrumental pieces, like two like untitled like instrumentals, which like give the album like some sort of like flow, like some sort of like feel like of like consistency like running like across it. But like when this song starts, it just starts very quietly, like quietly, like with like acoustic guitar, like Liam's like vocals like on it, like whether like by the second chorus it literally just like explodes like into life. The guitar playing like is like exemplary like on this song. That's partly maybe because like it's actually Paul Weller like who plays like the guitar solo like on this track. Like he just absolutely like rocks his socks off like with like this track. So yeah, a great song. Lyrically I think it is like really good like as well, like some like off like some off like the lines are like maybe like a bit confusing, like slightly like contradictory, like slowly walking down the hall faster than a cannonball. Like whether like they do sound good, like they are like quite like evocative like images. Like lyrically I think it is like about like being famous and like leaving like a lasting legacy. And it is a long song as well, about 7.5 minutes. However, I think there is enough quality material to like justify like it being like that length. Like both the song itself and also like the musicianship like on it, I think like is stunning. So yeah, Champagne Supernova would get a 10 out of 10. Okay, so overall, this album would score 95%, which is a absolutely brilliant score. Very few albums which I review like get like anywhere near that. Like think like it's like in like the same kind of league like as like Revolver and Sgt. Pepper and like Who's Next, like those like classic albums. I think every song like is at least great like on this album, and like most are on Oasis hits compilations. Like for me, this was really like their peak period. Like Noel Gallagher could do like no wrong, like as far like as like writing songs that is, like not only like writing so many great tracks for this album, but also B-sides as well. Like there's a ton of like B-sides from this era which are every bit as good as the album tracks here. It's also interesting this being like their second album, because most bands like they have a brilliant debut and then like the quality like deteriorates like for like the second album. I think that Oasis like it doesn't like apply to them simply like because they manage like to like sustain like the quality like from the debut, but also like build on it like as well, like expanding their sound, like using like more like different like instruments, like different sort of textures, like a more sort of varied sound. So yeah, this is just a absolutely like brilliant album like from like a band like at like their absolute peak. Like I'm not too familiar like with like their stuff like post this album. Like I know like a couple of songs. Like I've got like a sort of like a general like Oasis like hits like compilation which covers like their whole career, but for me personally like it is the songs for Definitely Maybe and this album like which stand out like as like their true classics. So yes, I hope you have enjoyed this review. Like if you have any requests for future album reviews, please do leave them down below in the comments section, and I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.